This is Lacy Robertson, the hardest working woman in mortgage and real estate nationwide, and I'm here to bring you this week's report of California companies that will be laying off a significant amount of workforce where we received and processed their notice between December 23rd, 2025 and January 7th, 2026. Now, I know you're probably wondering if you're new to me, why do I share this information every day? Or every week, I should say, since I'm the hardest working woman in mortgage and real estate nationwide, what does layoff information have to do with mortgage and real estate? Well, I'm glad you asked. Many, many years ago, I was super excited. I was getting ready to purchase a piece of property. Woo! And the seller was super excited. They were getting ready to get the proceeds from the sale of their property. Woohoo! And I had signed loan documents. I go back to work hours later and I find out that myself and 399 other people were getting laid off that day. Boo. Well, you can only imagine what was going on in my mind, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I can't buy this property. I don't have a job. How am I going to pay the mortgage? My mind was going and running 100 miles per minute or whatever. Anyways, and so I was really caught off guard. So there's two reasons why I share this information. One, what would you do differently if there was a possibility that you might get laid off? Would you not go on that lavish vacation? Would you not go on that go on that shopping spree? Would you dust up your resume and start update it and put out fillers to see if other people in your industry were hiring? Would you not buy that new house or a new car or piece of property? What would you do differently? Would you start the new business that you've always been thinking about starting or writing that new book? Like, what would you do differently if there was a possibility that you might get laid off? That's number one. Number two, I don't want you to be caught off guard like I was. I was literally no warning, no nothing. And I want you to know that you don't have to lose your house just because you lost your job or you're facing a financial hardship. I've literally been helping clients for years to lower their mortgage payment, make it more affordable so they don't have to exhaust all their savings trying to make their mortgage payment each month. So that's the reason why I do it. Now there's more, there's temporary options like a forbearance plan or a repayment plan, but then there's more permanent options like a modification or refinance. I mean, there are options available. You don't have to lose your house just because you lost your job, but guess what? It's not automatic. You got to pick up the phone and call me 714-914-7254. Now, before I go get into this list, I want to share with you what I was able to get one of my clients. Let me share my screen here. Yes, yes, yes. I want to share this with you. You should be able to see my screen. Now, I don't care how old these modifications are. I am so behind in uploading new modifications, which I will. But guess what? They're still happening. I'm still doing them every year. I just did a modification for a client who had lost a spouse. So that was a loss of income. And so I was able to help that client get their mortgage modified. So anyways, let's look at this. This person had Chase. I'm going to highlight over here. The mortgage payment previously was $2,334.71. It did include principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, but guess what? They had adjustable rate mortgage. That's what an ARM is. It was 6.575% and it adjusted. So it wasn't getting no better. Okay. I was able to come in, modify their mortgage. I'm going to highlight here to $1,749.53 a month. Did you hear me? A month. So I was able to save them nearly over $600, right? And that payment did include principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And guess what? Their modified payment was 3.49% and it was fixed. It was never going to go up. And then I was able to get them over $132,000 totally forgiven, wiped out. They didn't have to pay any taxes on this money. Like, Would that help you if I was able to save you like $600, $500 a month, whatever it is? Every circumstance and financial case is different. But if I was able to help you with your mortgage, maybe get you some principal forgiveness, would that be a help, especially if you had a loss of income? Like this client, I'm sure it would. So I want you to know that the options are available. Okay. I'm still doing successful cases each and every month. Okay. And so let me get into this list. If you're new to me, before I ask you to like, subscribe, comment, share the video, I will give you a list of the companies in alphabetical order. I'm going to let you know the date that they're laying off, obviously the name of the company. I'm going to let you know if that layoff is permanent, if it's temporary, if we're unsure because the company's unsure if they're going to be able to bring that workforce back. I'm going to let you know the location and the location. Okay. So let's get started. I have about 7 entries. It doesn't mean 7 different companies. It just means 7 entries. So some companies may be listed more than one time. Why? Because they're laying off maybe on different days or they are laying off at different locations. Okay. So let's get started. On March 6th, 2026. Wow. It's just crazy saying 2026. It really is. I don't know about you, but I'm like, I'm not ready, but I better be ready. Okay. So March 6th, 2026, you have Advanced Uniform Dust Control and Linen, LLC. They're closing permanently. They're laying off 4 people at 40 Clark Street, Suite E in Salinas. You have March 6, 2026, Advanced Uniform Dust Control and Linen, LLC is closing permanently. They're laying off 89 people at 243 Orange Avenue in Patterson. February 1st, Bondell, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, Americas, also known as Ready Pack Foods, is laying off permanently 62 people at 4401 Foxdale Avenue in Baldwin Park. You have February 20th, Collins Pine Company is laying off temporarily 79 people at 500 Main Street in Chester. So that's a temporary layoff. That means those people are going to be able to go back to work. So that's a good thing. January 30th, FormFactor Inc. is closing permanently. They're laying off 113 people at 5188 Commerce Drive in Baldwin Park. You have December 18th, FormFactor Inc. is closing permanently, laying off 107 people at 2281 Las Palmas Drive in Carlsbad. Last but not least, February 23rd, Full Stack Modular. They're laying off. We don't know if it's temporary, if it's permanent, if it's a closure. We don't know that yet. But 200 people will be affected on February 23rd at Full Stack Modular. They're going to be laid off at 3025 East Dominguez Street in Carson, California. Now, that's the end of this week's list of companies that will be laying off a significant amount of workforce where we received and processed their notice between December 23rd, 2025 and January 7th, 2026. Now, if you have experienced a loss of income due to a death, divorce, illness, injury, layoff, or natural disaster, I want you to pick up the phone and dial 714-914-7254. I'm Lacy Robertson, the hardest working woman in marketing and real estate nationwide. I look forward to working with you and for you. And until then, have a blessed day.